This week, I made some confit chicken with some crispy rice. Okay, next thing we need to do is get the chicken ready for the confit. So I'm going to use a pot instead of the baking dish here because I think it's better. So we're going to get all the chicken nestled into my pot here as best I can, just like that. Obviously, wash the hands in between because raw chicken. And just a couple other flavorings going in here. Got some crushed garlic cloves. Try not to crush them into oblivion because confit garlic is amazing. And just because I'm feeling a little saucy today, we're going to put a big heaping tablespoon of red Szechuan peppercorns in there. So now the next thing what we're going to do now is top it up with the oil. Now this oil I've got here is some olive oil that I confit some beef cheeks in it previously. And I've kept it in the fridge, that's why it looks a little chunky. But it's just fine. So we're going to get all this in, make sure the chicken's all nicely covered. We're probably going to need a little bit more. Once you've got your chicken covered in oil, you just want to pop a lid on and stick it into a 150-degree preheated oven. So, bung this in the oven for the next few hours. Once your rice is perfectly cooked in the rice cooker, obviously you don't need a rice cooker to cook the rice, but makes it perfect every time. You want to get it out into another baking tray. You want to get it all spread out like that. And now you want to season it. I'm using this one, obviously not sponsored at all, but this is the one I usually use. Now, I always do it by eye, so I'm just going to tip some on. We'll start with that. We'll get this all mixed in. And then I just keep tipping and mixing until I taste it and it tastes good to me. So that's what we're going to do. I'm also going to add a couple of pinches of MSG to make it taste good, and we'll sprinkle in a bit more salt. Okay, so you want to get a smaller baking dish to what you season your rice up with, and you want to line it with some baking paper. Now, the best way to fit a piece of baking paper into a dish like this is to either wet it, which I don't want to do, or you scrunch it up into a bowl, and then it's much easier to mold into the shape of whatever you're trying to put it into. So we want to get this in there nicely, make sure it's coming up the edges a little bit. Now you want to put your rice in there, and then once you get all your rice in there, you just want to push it all into the corners and make one nice even layer of rice. Make sure you put a bit of force behind when you're pushing it down too. You want this nice and compact. So I forgot to turn my microphone on before, but I removed the chicken when it had an 80 degrees internal temperature. I just let it cool down on my balcony for a couple of hours. So now we're going to get it out onto a rack. So I'm just going to get all the Szechuan peppercorns off of the chicken, and I'm not worrying about sopping up any of the oil because that's going to help us get a nice crispy skin. But you want to let a little bit of a drip off. So now you want to put this into a 250-degree preheated oven and keep a good eye on it because you want to take it out as soon as this skin gets nice and crispy. So when your chicken looks nice and golden like this, take it out the oven. So I've had my rice chilling out there for a little bit. Now we're going to get it out onto the cutting board, which because we put it in this handy dandy paper before, super easy. Just lift it out. So now we've got it lifted out. We've got to spread it out. And we're going to cut it into whatever size we want. I want the pieces about yay big. So we'll go along, get them all sliced up. So once you've got them cut into the bars like this, I'm going to cut this in half. And then we're going to split these in half this way, because they turned out a little bit thicker than I was expecting. So we'll just slip it in half like that. And now we're going to head to the stove where I got some oil heating up. So I've got a non-stick pan here with a little bit of oil in the bottom. It's heated up. And we're going to put the rice in and get it nice and golden brown and crispy. Okay, when you got some good color on them, like this, I'm going to go ahead and flip them all over. And when you got some good color on all of them, on all sides, I'm going to remove them to a rack. I didn't have a clear idea of what I actually wanted to make this week, but I was browsing YouTube and I saw Wilson's barbecue. He did some confit duck. I thought to myself, I'd never had confit chicken before, and duck's quite expensive, chicken's quite cheap. It just made sense. And my wife said she wanted some crispy rice cake, so I thought I'd merge the two together. Let's see how it turned out. Oh, confitting the chicken makes it super lush and soft. Pair that with the crispy rice cake and the chili oil I put on top. You gotta go back and watch that video on how I made that. That goes with the cheeseburger spring roll, which should have come out. Go back in my playlist and have a look at that one. This is an amazing play on textures and it tastes even better.